This workshop is based on my book, Navigating Courageous Conversations, a roadmap for effectively addressing tough topics and people. And it was only in writing the foreword for this book that it occurred to me where my expertise in the area of courageous conversations began. The year was 1989 and I was a newly married 24-year-old. My wife and I were either very brave, very foolish, or both to take on a parenting role on weekends and evenings at a girls' home for at-risk young women, whilst at the same time tutoring at-risk youth during the day. This meant the opportunity for courageous conversations became a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week opportunity. And as the foreword of the book says, I did a lot of my learning on the subject of difficult conversations during the challenges of those 4 years as a girls' home parent and 10 years as a tutor for troubled youth. Fast forward to the present, where I've been involved in people development for over 30 years, and in the last 13 specializing in workplace leadership development. As a result, it's become very clear to me that being able to conduct a courageous conversation in a confident and competent manner is the number one pain point for workplace team leaders. That's the bad news. The good news, on the other hand, is that I absolutely love equipping people to discover the courage that they have within themselves to tackle difficult subjects and even more difficult people. Let me give you an example. Whenever I run these kinds of workshops, I ask the participants who at the present time needs to have a courageous conversation with a team member, and invariably a number of hands go up. I had one young manager in a workshop who had a particularly challenging team member who was completely averse to change. Any change, actual or proposed, was met with very real resistance by this team member. And this young manager's manager had also failed to inadequately address this person. We role-played the situation. I played both the manager and the team member. And then as a course, as a group, we debriefed the role plays, empowering this young manager with a sense that whatever this team member threw at him, he could cope with it. And the manager knew that we would be holding him accountable in a month's time when the course reconvened to check that the conversation had actually taken place. Well, it was only a week later when the manager called me in such an excited manner, unable to wait a month when we were back together again as a course. He had embarked on the conversation with the belligerent team member, feeling much more confident and able than he ever had before. And to no one's surprise, the team member had stormed out of the manager's office. However, an hour later, he came back in, apologized, and said that his wife and his family were tired of his anger, and he also was aware that he needed to change. No wonder the manager was too excited to wait 4 weeks to tell me the result. This practical workshop dives into the actual challenges that workplace leaders are facing in their current roles, addressing topics such as how to manage appropriate care and respect in these kinds of conversations, the priority hierarchy model for considering the needs of the business and the team above that of the recipient, the importance of managing and maintaining an above-the-line attitude, the magic feedback ratio for functional relationships, the BISC model for stages of a courageous conversation, the behavioral styles of the conversation's instigator and the recipient, and the impact of opposing styles, and finally, the predictable outcomes model, which teaches leaders that all courageous conversation outcomes can be viewed as beneficial when playing a long game. These workshops are 1 to 3 days in length, and many businesses view them as mini leadership programs. Contact me to talk about your courageous conversation needs today.